Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to my very first Honkai Star Rail video. So the game's been out for a few days, and I've been having a lot of fun grinding through the game, exploring new areas, checking out the characters, and new game mechanics. So in today's video, I'll be using what I've learned from my last couple of days of gameplay to show you guys some tips and tricks to help you all progress through and conquer the early game of Honkai Star Rail. But of course, before I begin, I'd like to give a shout out to all the members who have joined my channel. Thank you so much for becoming members of my channel. I really do appreciate the additional support. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first tip is how to spend your Stellar Jade. Most people who have already played Genshin Impact should already have a good idea of what to spend their Stellar Jade on. But for those of you who are new to Honkai Star Rail or just gacha games in general, you want to be spending your Stellar Jade on these Star Rail special passes rather than the Star Rail passes. And this is mainly because all of the 5 stars that you're able to summon from the standard banner here are also obtainable from the limited banner. Not to mention, limited banners are only available for a limited time, hence the name Limited Banner. So you're getting more value for your Stellar Jade from buying the special Star Rail passes rather than buying the regular Star Rail passes. Last thing to mention, you can refresh your Trailblazer power. This is essentially your stamina system for Stellar Jade if you like, for faster game progression. However, I would not recommend this for free-to-play players, as you should be saving your Stellar Jade purely for summons. This is more for the spenders who wish to tackle more content at a faster rate. Next tip, you should be saving your fuel, which is this thing right here. Fuel does not overcap, and there is no limit to how many you can stack. Therefore, you want to be saving these for later on when you're able to farm for 5-star relics, or if there are any future rate-up events for drops on certain materials. Next tip, look out for warp trotters, and these are these little piglet things that you might have already encountered in your journey through Star Rail. They appear at set locations and they are really fast and will attempt to run away the minute they spot you. When the battle starts, make sure you prioritize killing them, or they will attempt to escape after 2 of their turns. And they drop 60 Stellar Jade, so this is not just a small reward for killing them, no matter how cute they are. For the next tip, you want to be grinding your simulated universe. And this is because you can get a variety of rewards from the simulated universe. If you go to her shop, you can get a free 5-star light cone that can only be obtained from here. You can even get the superimposer, which is like a duplicate that you can feed into your 5-star light cone in order to upgrade its passive. So yeah, make sure you're doing your simulated universe. If we take a look at the index here, you also technically get free Stellar Jade just by selecting different blessings throughout your simulated universe runs. So if you take a look here, I've already unlocked up to 12 of the preservation blessings, and if I pick different ones or more of them, eventually at 18 I'll get 80 and another 80 at 22 preservation blessings. Same with every other blessing that's available here. You just have to play a lot of simulated universe and pick a different blessing every time, and you'll get Stellar Jade every single time for this. Same thing with the Kuro. These are like little trinkets that you can pick throughout the simulated universe. And for each new one that you unlock, you get 30 Stellar Jade. There's a few of them that I can claim right here. So there are quite a few of them, as you can see. And these will add up. It's a lot of free Stellar Jade that you're missing out on if you do not play simulated universe. And last, we have the ability tree. This is sort of like a skill tree, but specifically just for the simulated universe. And you'll get these ability points every time you clear a simulated universe attempt or run. It doesn't matter which world you do it on, you'll always get a certain amount of currency. So you want to make sure that you're grinding your simulated universe so you can power these up. I have a few points I can spend here. I want to pick defense because I like a more defensive playstyle rather than the attack that most people would go after. Okay, for the next tip, remember to use your techniques whenever you're able to. You can actually stack these techniques, especially if they're buffs. For example here, my Fire Trailblazer. If I use this technique, he'll gain a shield at the beginning of the next battle. And if Viola uses her technique, she'll give the invigoration buff to everyone else, and they'll heal every time they're hit. And we can actually start the fight with a attack technique like Serval here. They don't really have a weakness to Serval. I can actually use March 7th instead right here, so we get the weakness break. And what's going to happen is she's going to freeze a random enemy. Or she can freeze all of them, apparently. Oh, that's because I broke the break bar. That's why they're all frozen right now. This actually brings me to my next tip, which is timing your ultimate at the right time. Your ultimates can actually be cast at any time during the battle, as long as the energy gauge is filled. And they don't actually take up your character's turn, and they can be even cast between enemies' turns. So I can show you guys real quick, as an example. Just have my servo attack here real quick. Same with March 7th. And if I spam fast enough here, I can actually cast my Trailblazer's ultimate in between the opponent's turns. On to the next tip, which is early game Trailblazer power usage. I'd recommend you guys use your early game Trailblazer power on golden calyxes here to farm EXP material for both your characters and light cones. Once you feel you have enough of those resources, you can move on to the crimson calyx here to farm character trace materials instead. And of course, you want to be doing your Echo of Wars. This is essentially your weekly bosses. You can do it up to 3 times per week, at the end of the week preferably. This is because there's a chance that you're actually able to reach a higher equilibrium level, which will allow you to gain better rewards when you fight a stronger weekly boss. Also, a few runs of the simulated universe to get a couple of planar spheres and link ropes is not a bad idea early on, but you should stop once you obtain a decent set with the main stat that you want for all the characters on your team. And last, do not farm Cavern of Corrosion for relics until you are at least Equilibrium level 3. I can show you guys real quick why. Because once you reach Equilibrium level 3 or World level 3, there's a chance you can actually get these 5-star relics. And that's when you can actually start farming these for more value of your Trailblazer power. Okay, next let's talk about early game light cones. 3-star light cones can be used and superimposed for their passive early game, but I don't recommend leveling them and ascending them further beyond that. The base stat difference between a 3-star and 4-star light cone will make a huge difference, especially later on when you need to scale those stats with relics and traces. As you can see here, my Bailu has like a level 1 3-star light cone, and it's superimposed to level 5 just for the passive, but I don't plan on ever leveling this up and ascending it. Same with Teen Young here. I have a 3-star relic on her, not enhanced or ascended, but it is superimposed to level 5 just for the passive that provides an attack buff for my entire team. Eventually, when I come across a better light cone for the Harmony path, I will definitely be replacing this 3-star light cone with a 4-star light cone. Alright, next let's talk about early game relic upgrading. I would recommend only upgrading 3 to 4-star relics up to +6, maybe +9 for a really good 4-star relic with the perfect main stat, set, and substats. Otherwise, you should just be waiting and saving for 5-star relics when they're available. Next, we're going to discuss skill point management. I'd recommend you guys build a balanced team around which characters need to use their skills and who doesn't or has the option to not use their skill. If we take a look at my team here, it is a rather defensive team with flexibility when it comes to skill point usage. We have Servo here, who is my main DPS essentially, and she usually wants to be casting her skill to do the most damage, as well as applying shock. Then we have Bailu, who is my healer, and she will occasionally need skill points, but only when she needs to heal. Otherwise, she'll just be using her basic attack and generating skill points for my team. Next, we have March 7th, who is my defensive support or tank. Most of the time, she'll be using her skill point to generate a shield for my teammates, but occasionally, when I don't need the shield, she can also use her basic attack to generate skill points. And last, but definitely not least, we got the dog, aka the Fire Trailblazer. He will be using his basic attack almost 90% of the time. So he will be generating a lot of skill points for my team and does not require a lot of skill points in order to function and do his job as a tank. And because of this, I don't recommend you guys just toss in a bunch of 5-stars that you managed to pull recently, or a bunch of quote-unquote S-tier characters onto a team and expect them to work. It is much more important to have a bunch of characters that synergize well and can manage their skill points efficiently, rather than a bunch of strong characters individually. My next tip is don't spread yourself too thin. Resources eventually will become scarce and you won't be able to max invest into every character on your team. Because of this, I recommend you guys focus on your main DPS or main damage dealer first, then prioritize your resources into your sub DPS / tank, and finally last should be your supports and healers, who don't require much investment to do their job anyways. And you should only be investing or working on 1 to 2 characters at a time. And finally, for my last tip and advice for you guys, it's better to play it safe than be sorry. It's actually safer to play the game defensively, especially early on. This is because a lot of the elite mobs and bosses hit really hard, and your characters will take a lot of damage. Sometimes they might even get one-shot it if they're not geared properly. This is especially present in Simulated Universe since it's a labyrinth game mode with many enemies. Odds are your team will most likely run out of steam or health before they're able to reach the end to fight the boss. And for most of us, we won't be able to burst through the early game content because our characters are lacking the gear, relics, and traces, whatever investments you need in order to multiply their damage to higher levels. Here's a screenshot of the team I actually used to beat World 3 of Simulated Universe. It's actually the same team I have on the screen as well. It took a very long time to clear, probably over an hour, but there isn't a time limit. And hey, it got the job done and it works, so why question it? Okay guys, well that's going to be it for this Honkai Star Rail Beginner's Guide video. If you guys have any questions or if you have any more tips to add, please let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, or join if you wish to support my channel even further. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next Honkai Star Rail video. Peace!